There is a journey that every man embarks on when God the Father projects himself into a body prepared by the coming together of the three that bear witnesses on earth: spirit, water, and blood, symbolizing the union of sperm, water, and egg, blood, which form a body and in which the image of God, spirit, dwells. The image of God is not this flesh made of dust or death, but the projected breath of God in a man. The image of God is the true light which gives light to every man coming into the world. Light is life, and life is the truth of God in a man.
Therefore, your life on earth is about the journey of your three witnesses into whom God projected himself as a prepared body mandated to do the will of God on earth. When you hear the word journey, what comes to mind? A quest for enlightenment? A Christian or a pilgrim on a journey of redemption, or what? Also, when you hear of the return, what comes to your mind? Is it a return to heaven by rapture, or is it some air transport to some yonder celestial city in the cloud? The journey is the daily killing of your human being, found in the walk of your God being's unfolding consciousness. The return is the final embrace of your Father, whom you forgot because of the poison of the awareness of self that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil imputed into your human being, for a season, until the serpent is done with your dust and the corruption that came in is removed. The so-called fall in the garden was orchestrated by your Father who dwells in you to give himself room within your body of death, in order to destroy death. This is the mystery of Eve, the mother of all mankind. In other words, you don't exist as what you know as yourself. I don't exist as what I have known myself to be. The name, the skills, the family lineage, the fears, the shame, the hopes, and all that we see as ourselves are not real. The only being that exists is God. God walking the earth in humans, and his invisible attributes are found in all things created. That's all there is and nothing else. This is what Christ came to show you, meaning you were never supposed to be a human being, but a God being. For if in him you live and move and have your being, then you cannot be lesser than him in which you exist. Before anything was made that was made, when God decided to project himself on earth, taking the form of a created being, the lowest he could go was man. Man, that was made from the material of earth but animated by the breath of God. But the drop in the God consciousness or death, made possible by the eating of the fruit of knowledge, which is of this world, or the wisdom of this world, meant God had to go below the state of man to taste of animal consciousness, which is not animated by God's breath. This is sin. For until Adam and Eve dropped divine consciousness and embraced the animal consciousness of what to eat, what to wear, where to live, and who to mate with, there was no sin. Therefore, there is no sin, no death, and no hell. Hell, death, and sin cannot exist in God's breath. They are only permitted within the journey of one through whom God is experiencing humanity on earth, but not as a state of being, but as an experience to validate the redemptive power of God. The only hell, death, and sin that exist as a state of being are the ones you allow in the garden of your heart when, just like Adam, you drop your consciousness from the divine one to that of an animal. Sin, therefore, is nothing but the loss of identity. A loss of the consciousness of what is true, a loss of awareness of your God being. Nothing more. What happened to Adam and Eve in the garden was not a commission of sin, as it were, but a drop in consciousness of that which is divine, to embrace that which is the low consciousness of animals. Which is why the only cloth that God deemed fit to clothe them with after the fall was the skin of an animal. That was not a failure of fashion, but a statement of fact regarding the altered state of man. A state of being is a state of consciousness, and the awareness of what state of consciousness you are unfolding into is what your journey of spirituality on earth is about. As the fall in the garden is a state of consciousness, so is the rise or resurrection a state of consciousness through the finished work of Christ. You just need to be aware that this is real and true. And as the story of the prodigal son illustrates, your life on earth, with all its ups and downs and the many trials you faced, are part of the story of your conscious journey towards the embrace of Source, towards the embrace of your Father. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the return.